Okay, I wanted to explain one thing about this last example. I put meters cubed at the end of my answers. The reason I have two different answers is because one is if you use 3.14 for pi, the other one is if you use the pi button on your calculator. They'd give you two different answers because they're two different approximations. Either one's okay. In your homework, they ask you to use 3.14 instead of the pi button. But why meters cubed? The reason it's meters cubed is because remember from the first video, this is asking how many cubes would fit inside of this shape. So whenever it's volume, we're asking about how many cubes fit inside something. So we put meters cubed to show that it would be that many cubic meters or that many meter cubes. Cubes that are 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. Okay, let's do our next example. Give me a second. Okay, so here's example 2. In example 2, the cylinder is on its side. This does not change anything about the volume. It's still going to have the same volume in it. If we look at this one, it's giving you a value here of 10 and a value here of 12. What's different about this problem? There's two things that are different. Try to identify the two things that are different. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, so one thing that's different is this shape is on its side. That can just be tricky for some people because they have to look at it from a new view, but it's not that hard. The other thing that's different is that I've given you a diameter all the way across instead of a radius, which is only halfway across. So that's going to change what goes here. You aren't just going to copy 10 and 12 because I haven't given you the radius yet. You have to think about it and figure out what the radius is going to be. So I want you to pause the video, decide what the radius and the height are going to be, and then unpause when you're ready to see the answers. Okay, make sure you did it on your own first because you won't learn if you don't try it. The R is 5 and the H is 12. Why is the R 5? I hope you know, because the diameter is 2 times the radius. It's twice as big as the radius. The diameter is all the way across, so the radius is only half of that. So it's 5 this way, 5 that way, 5 and 5 make 10. The radius is just 5. It's half of 10. And the height is 12. The height is always the distance between the two circles, even if it's on its side. Just like my height is the distance from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, even if I'm laying down on the ground, you would still measure my height from here to my feet. Okay, so now let's plug that into the formula. This pause, you're just plugging in. You're not actually getting an answer. You're just replacing the R with a number and the H with a number. Okay, so hopefully you see. You get 5 squared times 12 times pi. Now, some of you may be asking this question, so I'm going to pretend I'm you. Mrs. Lemon, isn't like 5 squared the same thing as 10? So couldn't I just put the diameter right there instead? And the answer is no. 5 squared is not 5 times 2. What does 5 squared mean? Tell your neighbors who aren't there. Good job. 5 squared means 5 times 5, not 5 plus 5. This is not 10. What does 5 squared equal? 25. Good job. Okay, so now what we'll do is we're going to get the approximate answer. We're going to use 3.14 for pi because that's what our homework is asking us to do. So don't use the pi button on your calculator or your cell phone. Just plug in 5 squared times 12 times 3.14. And if you don't have a squared button on your cell phone, turn it sideways. And there's like a little arrowy thing that lets you do squared. Or you could just do 5 times 5 times 12 times 3.14. Press pause, check your answer when you're ready. Okay, when you put this all in your calculator, including the 3.14, you get 942. You would round to the nearest tenth, but there was no decimal value here because of the 3.14 and the 25 and all that. But I need to add my units. So what unit are we measuring in this problem? Units are the words that tell us what the numbers mean. So it's not just 12, it's 12 inches. So this is going to be inches, and because it's volume, it's going to be cubed, inches cubed. All of our units are going to be cubed for volume because volume is asking how many cubes fit inside. So your answer should be this many cubes, 942 inch cubes. Think about that's like literally a cube that's 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch. It would take 942 of those cubes to fit inside of this cylinder. Okay, so those are the two main ways that you're going to see this. I'm going to